Hi there and welcome to the IT Taster channel. Today I'm honoured to have a very special guest with me. He is Mr. Pierre Neethling, and Pierre is an IT instructor and a Cisco Academy instructor, and he's very kindly agreed to come along to talk to me today and tell us a bit about the courses he teaches, as well as IT certifications, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of a chat about apprenticeships and career advice. So Pierre, thanks for coming along. If we could kick off, if you could tell me a little bit about what you teach, the courses you teach, and give us a rough overview if you would.
Okay, just as a quick overview, what we do is we teach Cisco IT, or we start at the basic level, do Cisco IT Essentials, follow that up with CompTIA A+. From there move on to the CCNA course, and then we throw in a little bit of cabling and a bit of Linux as well into the whole equation, just to give you the right qualifications.
Nice. That's really good. Now, certifications like those require some serious commitment, as we know, in both terms of time and also financial expense. Now, there are people out there who sometimes question whether it's really worth doing these sort of certifications. What would your response to that be?
Well, John, if you go to university, you go there to get a degree. Right? So that degree is proof that you are able to not only work at a certain level, but you have a certain level or base of knowledge. Same with our kind of qualification. The only difference is that most of our qualifications are internationally recognized. So although you can go to uni and maybe get one of these little obscure ones and have a nice degree walking out there, right? But with CompTIA, CCNA, your CCNP and all the relevant qualifications going on around these are qualifications that's internationally recognized. That means that you are able to work and you have skills up to a certain level. Right. So as an employer, what do you want? You would like people to have a specific skill. If I'm looking for somebody to build a computer, I will advertise and say, right guys, we are looking for somebody with at least an A+.
Yeah.
And that's the basis of where we need to start. So if you don't have the paperwork, you're not going to get the job.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, as someone who teaches CCNA, which is, a well-established industry certification, can you tell us a little bit more about the CCNA itself in terms of what you can expect if you take that course?
Right, we will start off, and obviously CCNA networking, Cisco Certified Network Associate. That's the first level that we move in when we get into the whole networking aspect of things. Yeah. There you're going to learn everything about, let's start from the very basics, about switches, how to configure a switch, how to configure VLAN on a switch, how to secure a switch, and then from there move on to routers. So again, how to, the whole distribution area, how to configure basic configuration on a router, that's the
router, absolutely,
the router. So we can write how to do different routing protocols, how to use those, in other words, to create a network. And then with everything that goes on around that, the security of each of these, how do we access a router or a switch via network, or if we go in and plug in a cable,
actual proper physical stuff as well.
The whole physical part, and how to do clock timings, and then of course once you know about how to sort out your own network, then how do we connect through to our ISPs? Now, how do we connect in to get to the World Wide Web?
Indeed. Now, many IT certifications these days need to be renewed every few years or so. What sort of strategies would you advise people to adopt to renew those sort of qualifications? Would you advise cramming? What kind of methods would you say?
I would say start off well ahead and plan it. If you know that your certification is going to expire, like the A+ certifications will expire in 6 months' time, then start with the planning. Think about how you are going to do your revision, what will come up, start doing a bit of research about, technology changes. Yeah. So in 2 years' time, you might be well ahead or behind current technology. Yeah. So prepare yourself for that. Okay. Then go and find out what is available. Don't cram, If you want to cram over 6 months. Don't cram over 1 week. That's not going to work very well.
No, that's pretty good advice.
Go over that, Go over the work. There are very great revision programs available. You know, sign up maybe for 1 or 2 of those. Get through the work, prepare yourself, and then you walk out, and it will be a success. However, you can go to the exam, not pass it, and have to go again and again. It's a little bit time waste, you know.
Yeah.
Just a bit of decent planning before the time. Go through, do the revision, and then hopefully it will go well.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Now,
Yes.
I know you're a bit sort of passionate about apprenticeships, but what are your thoughts about IT apprenticeships on what role they play in kickstarting an IT career?
I think many people have asked this kind of question. You know, how do I get into the field?
Mm.
Well, through apprenticeship. It's the very basic of where you start. Before you go down the apprenticeship route, make sure that you do quite some really nice research on, because the field is big. There's so many areas and you know that you can go down in.
Mm.
Find yourself the apprenticeship that you think is in the direction that you want. Do some research on the companies. Some companies are really supportive, you know. And in other words, you go into the apprenticeship, you have the combination of learning your trade as well as offering the whole study aspect involved with that. Most companies these days will sign up with a provider that will do all the teaching part for them. It is a bit of a crash course, you know. A week for this, a week for that. But at least that's the way that you get your foot into the whole door. That's where the whole thing starts. You know, start on the apprenticeship level. You know, pay might not be quite as good as you would expect, but once in that way you build up the experience, and then 1 or 2 years or 3 years down the road, you know, you can certainly start looking at where your career is going. But again, it's going to be that little bit of planning and involvement with that. I think the biggest advantage is this, that not only do you work and learn and earn, you know, compared to going to uni and it's like maybe work, maybe play, no earn, you know.
Yeah. Run up a huge debt as well at the same time.
Yes, we would like to prevent that bank from holding your future in their hands, you know, set up yourself holding your own future. So I do believe in the whole apprenticeship system. We certainly do encourage our own students to go down that route. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of invaluable experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, what would you say that potential employers, because I know you do speak to quite a few, what sort of things do you feel that they're looking for when they're looking to select a junior apprenticeship?
It all differs. But the one thing that everybody is looking for is a keen interest in the field. Now, what do I want to do? Yes, have a keen interest. They will all look for that personality or that person who's prepared to do that extra bit.
Yeah.
You know, are you prepared to invest in your future? That's what they're all asking. Yeah. So the qualifications doesn't matter that much. It helps if you have more IT qualifications, because that just makes you stand out from the herd. You know, but in the end, it comes down to you. It's the way that you are going to sell yourself, the way that you can be during the interview process. But they all are looking for that thing, you know, your commitment to the field, to the subject, where do you work. That's the key. Cool. Be enthusiastic.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's a competitive market out there, we know, but you know, do you feel there is a skills shortage for those sort of people that, you know, can do this sort of thing?
Well, most definitely. I mean, how many businesses has come back to us, you know, looking for where's your next group of students coming through. We're looking for apprenticeships. We really are looking for this kind of skill levels in the field. And the better the skill level that they can start with and the apprenticeship, the higher or the further they can take that person. So instead of having to train that person up and give him all the basics, if you can actually arrive there with a bit more skills, then obviously his future is a little bit more, you know, looks a little bit brighter. Yeah. But yes, there is a skill shortage, definitely. And if you just, you know, just go online and have a look at how many jobs in the IT sector are advertised, you will find there's a massive load. Obviously, unfortunately, and this is where we come back to the whole thing, how do we get our foot in the door? A lot of them will require experience.
Yeah, that's one of the toughest ones, isn't it? This is maybe a difficult question. What do you think sort of could be done to attract more newcomers, particularly females, into the IT industries? Because we seem quite short of them, and you know we're very keen to encourage them down that career path.
Yes, for some other reason, you know, whenever we get to our female colleagues, they're all thinking electronics, you know, not my area, not my field, but my expertise is something that the boys plays with. That is still very much, you know, sort of a concept in our daily thing. It's a pity. I think it can be a fantastic career. This strong woman who has made a fantastic career out of it. But it's realizing that there is a field there that women, it's open to women. You know, they can really get in. In actual fact, the companies out there are begging to get female staff, so that because they would also like to not
have a
be
proper
seen
balance,
as
really,
like, you know, just
absolutely.
employing the men, and what about the women? But it's getting in at the bottom and doing that kind of qualification. Obviously, women also needs to be prepared, sort of, to know that at the moment it is a very much male-dominating field, and you're going to move into that. You know, so be
So we need to
prepared for
encourage
that
them
a little
more,
bit,
and
oh, certainly we are. We
Yeah.
are quite, you know, doing a lot of encouragement on that, and having extra bit of talk to the you know, the girls in the where we are at, and
correct.
well, we're not drawing quite the numbers that we would like to.
No, but it's sort of moving in the
It is slowly,
the right
slowly
direction.
moving in the right direction. Yes.
Good, good. And then one thing I wanted to ask you, one question I come across quite a lot is that you've sort of touched on it a little bit already, but newly qualified IT staff are finding it really difficult to get their foot into the IT industry. In terms of sort of career tips, I know you sort of mentioned apprenticeships a little bit, but sometimes if you can't get an apprenticeship, you know, is charity work, that sort of thing? Is there any advice you could give us on that one?
I think that one of the big things is get yourself qualified, and not only don't just stick down one route.
Yeah.
You know, if we look at the network administrator today, there are various skills that a person like that is going to require. Everything is going bigger and wider. So get yourself into that position. Get all the various qualifications. Then it just would again make you stand out a little bit, and hopefully then through that, you know, lead into the junior technician positions. You can even get to a situation where you are better qualified than what they are looking for, but because you don't have experience, that might be the tick behind your name.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a better qualification. You know, you don't quite have the experience that they want, but let's give him a chance. So yeah, that could be a real option. Other than that, yes, it is always difficult. You know, breaking through not only in the IT sector but in any other sector is how do we get our feet into the door in the first place.
Yeah.
Fortunate part is that yes, there is the apprenticeship. If they can't do the apprenticeship, if they are really you know, older age is mainly the big contributing factor to that, then you need to find a different way. So don't be afraid to step down and get in on the junior level.
Yeah.
All that it means is you will be there for a year or two, and then you know the advancement will be a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But make sure that you get that you have the right qualifications. That's the big thing, you know, that you have that different levels of skill. You can do a bit of this, can do a bit of that.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised how well
I mean,
that actually works out. Yes.
You did sort of touch on a really important point there. I mean, we've talked a lot about newcomers to the industry in terms of students, but there are people out there that are looking for a career shift and want to get into
Yes,
IT, and again, yeah, the apprenticeship route isn't really open to them. I guess it's a case of getting some sort of junior position maybe, or doing some sort of volunteer type work or something, is it, to get some experience?
A bit of experience in that science, you know, there are quite a few companies out there, you know, even if you go to some of our really more renowned IT companies and just say, look, you know, is there any chance of getting in here for, let's go and do a month volunteering or something like that, just to get it on your board. They might be a bit hesitant in taking that on, but yeah, I mean, anything is possible. So
Sure.
if you don't actually go for it, you never know if they're going to accept that, do you?
No, you don't. I mean, in terms of an entry level qualification to get, because if you are switching career paths, it is quite difficult to go out there and suddenly get your CCNA, particularly if you're new. What would you suggest would be the best route to start in terms of courses and certification?
I always say, you know, start at the bottom. Let's start with the A+, you know, with the access level where we really want to learn everything about computers and components and, you know, a bit of wireless networking. Start at that level, and then you can make the decision of where you're going from here. Start with the CCNA course. You know, after the first 2 units of the CCNA course, then more doors open, because once you have the ICMD1 qualification, you can then also go down the security route. So you don't have to go down the pure networking route. You know, there are other doors that open as well. So, but that's a step. It works like a nice tree. You know,
I guess ultimately, once you get in there, the employers are going to you know, help fund your training throughout your IT career, so you may not be expected to you know,
and again, you know,
buy a
like in
CCNA.
anything, no, but it's like in anything, you know, once you're getting there, you are with the employers, it's your job to go and negotiate. You know, okay, listen, I need this qualification, this is the route where I would like to go down, so negotiate with your employer. How much time are they going to give you off? Will they pay for that? Will they be allowed to go on and do these kind of qualifications? Because, I mean, any employer would jump and say, yes, man, you know, he's getting better. So
yeah, absolutely.
it's a benefit to us, you know, but that would be some part of the negotiation that you have to do, yes.
No, that's really good advice. I mean, thanks very much for taking the time to chat to me today. I think we may have to do this again sometime.
We can certainly do it again.
If you've got a bit of spare time, but no, I really appreciate that.
Thank you, John.
Thanks very much.
It's an absolute pleasure, man.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, I hope you found that helpful, and if you did like the video, please give it a like, and you're very welcome to drop a comment below with a question, and we'll do our very best to answer it for you. If you haven't already subscribed to the IT Taster channel already, don't forget to do that. And as always, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.